Dude, pointed stick.
Pointed stick! Pointed stick!
Pointed stick.
Pointed stick.
Pointed stick?
Pointed stick!
Whoa, pointed stick.
That pointed stick.
Pointed stick!
Stick. We don't have any time for your trolling behavior on this channel. It just isn't welcome here. And so, good riddance to you.
So I got to update that intro. Got to find some more people to troll. So anyway, this is not going to be about Vegas. Did my piece last night. Talked forever on that. Today I just want to rant a little bit. I watched some last night and kind of put a little bit of something in perspective that you already kind of suspected was happening, but you know, not to this degree. So there's a guy, John Kiriakou, who is a CIA whistleblower, right? Spent 7 years in prison. So I feel it's probably a little shit with that sort of thing. And definitely not a fan of CIA, definitely not really a fan of the FBI. He's just dude that got fucked by the system. And he was the guy that whistle blew, I believe, the torture program that was going on in Guantanamo. And yeah, he got fired and spent time for that. What he was saying was he was working for the CIA. He went to Iraq. Was that Iraq? I think it was Iraq. I believe it was Iraq. Yeah, I think it's Iraq. And he went out there and they had they're growing heroin poppies. And he said at one point they're a major food supplier for that whole area out there because they have the Tigris, Euphrates, all that sort of stuff. They have a lot of green land out there in the middle of all that sand. He said he wanted to talk to the farmer. He went up to the farmer and he said, "Hey, man, why?" Oh, is that Afghanistan? Man, my geography sucks. I failed geography, so just saying. But he's saying he went to the farmer and he said, "Man, why are you growing all these poppies, man? When you could be growing food, you could be doing a harvest twice a year." And the farmer got mad at him and said, "You Americans said it. If I forget if he did something, then he grew all the poppies he wanted to. He was making money off of it." And then he went to the government because he was working for the government, and I think he was pretty high up at the time. And he told them about that. So what are they doing, man? What is this about? You know, why do we have a deal with these farmers to grow heroin poppies? We need to stop this. They need to start growing their own food because they're having to import all their food now. They told him no. They told him the reason it was no. Yeah, there you go. They told him the reason that they said no about that is because that heroin didn't end up in America. That heroin ended up in China and ended up in Russia. And so as far as the powers that be were concerned, you know, it was degrading China and it was degrading Russia culturally and, you know, through all that. And then, they, you know, obviously the correlation is what's going on in America right now, you know, and it seems very much similar. Now, I don't think the CIA is here in America trying to destroy our culture and turn everybody against each other, but it's definitely happening. And the thing is, I watched another video from a guy today, and this guy, you know, I mean, I agree with everything he said. He just put it a lot more eloquently than I could. but basically said, nobody cares if you're gay. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody would even know except, if you act in a stereotypical manner or if you tell people. Otherwise, nobody gives a shit. And nobody fucking cares anyway, right? Even if they know, which, really they shouldn't. But even if they know, because it's nobody's fucking business who you're fucking, right? But even if they know, it's nobody's business who you're fucking. Nobody cares. And it just doesn't fucking matter to anybody. And it shouldn't matter to anybody. So why is that an issue? Why is this a fucking issue? The trans stuff. Now I'm gonna tell a story, man. And I'm gonna tell where I come from with all this, right? And where my headspace has always been and where it's at. And I know trans people. I work with some, right? And it's fucking, some of them are cool as fuck, some of them are stupid. But it's kind of whatever. I don't care. Really don't give a shit. I don't care what you look like. Doesn't matter to me. Doesn't matter to me who you're fucking. None of that matters. And the most of my social interaction, obviously, is the workplace for me. Now, when I was young, and we're talking about the 90s, I had a green mohawk. And I used to dye this fucking thing. It was spinach green. It was about 1.5 feet at its height at the, before I just decided to cut it because it just got too crazy. I mean, honestly, think about it. Like, where are you going to go with 1.5 feet sticking out of your head? It's just not, you're riding the bus. You're not able to drive a car. It's not feasible. You're laying down in the back seat if somebody's going to drive you somewhere. Those little problems you don't think about until you're actually spending 6 hours hairspraying your hair straight up into a weird form. But, and most of the time it was down. But still, it's green hair. I had long green hair, man. That's what it looked like. And we're talking about the 90s. We're not talking about 2025 where every grandma has a freaking, every boomer or whatever has purple hair or pink hair or some crazy shit. It was like, it was not something that was socially acceptable back then at all, by any means. The Offspring was just coming out. The fucking Green Day, I don't think was out at that point. Maybe they were. You know what? Yeah, I think they were. But it still wasn't socially acceptable to be looking like that. And, and you walk into stores. I mean, you walk down the street, nobody's looking at you. I had a couple people calling you devil worshiper and stuff like that. But, most of that Satan panic had gone away by then. But you walk down the street and you could tell, man, people wanted nothing to do with you. It was obvious. And then you, when you go into a store or something like that, you learn really quickly that, nobody's going to help you out. Nobody's going to talk to you. Nobody wants anything to fucking do with you. And I mean, you dress the part too, right? Wearing leather freaking, armbands and, shit like that. Punk rock, man. That was the thing. And, but it was still a deviant fucking, culturally deviant. And it was fine. You went into it. You should have went into it knowing that. And if you didn't know that and you were incapable of dealing with that, then you shouldn't have done that in the first place. You did to yourself, right? So, you get used to, and I'm still like this to this day, because today, well, I'll explain that in a minute, but when you walk into a store, you realize it, like, yeah, I mean, you look a little different, man. You're a little strange. But, because of all that nature of that back then, I got used to the point where you walk into a store, you know what you want to buy. I don't go window shopping, do any of that shit. When girls try to drag me through that stuff, man, it's kicking and screaming. I hate that sort of thing. So, you go someplace, you know exactly what you want, right? And you get to the point where you walk right up to somebody, you go, hey, I'm going to buy this. Come here. And you don't wait for somebody to come and approach you and talk to you, because nobody's going to approach you because you're scary as shit. And you are. And these days, like I said, it's a little bit different. But, it's kind of different in a negative way at the same time. Now, what I do for a living, I make decent money. I'm not rich by any stretch of the imagination, but I do okay. I do just fine. And, so I can afford to buy things, right? And, when you walk into a place, I wear cheap ass clothes because I wear what I wear at work, and I just don't give a shit. The upbringing that I had as far as the green mohawk and all that sort of stuff, dressing like a deviant back in the days, which was deviant back in those days. These days, everything is from the t-shirt warehouse. If I'm wearing it, it's from the t-shirt warehouse. I don't own a suit. I don't have any of that stuff. And so, and it's funny because I had somebody that came out of prison. They were in prison for it was 10 years, I believe. I think they only served 7, but they came out of prison and they stayed with me for, after the parole and all that sort of stuff. They stayed with me for, 3 months, I think it was. And we're walking through this place and I'm just buying some of the short, we call them short pants, but, just Dickies, buying all this crap. This person tells me, hey, man, that's the same stuff they sell in prison. That's the same stuff in the catalogs at prison. So, so basically, I'm dressing like a fucking inmate. And, I just don't care, man. I mean, it's Southern California. I don't give a shit, and it doesn't matter to me what people think. So it's kind of the same system, right, where I walk into a place and I know, like, everyone's going to think I'm just some fucking low life and I don't belong there or whatever the hell happens to be. And so straight up, dude, you walk up somebody, hey, I'm going to buy this. Come here, and you're very direct with people. And I'm extremely direct with people when I deal with that. But the reason I'm saying that is, and then I'll share another story that kind of goes into this. I worked with a guy who, one night I worked with a dude. This dude had what they called the faux hawk when that was all the fucking rage. And I don't remember 20 years ago, fucking 25. I don't remember how long ago this was, but we're working together and, I never met this guy before. Don't know him. Just some rando that I worked with once. And, this, the person who was in charge, our boss, we call him, he was an old man, dude. I think he's passed away since, but yeah, he's an old dude. And he's looking at this guy like he's fucking from Mars and shit, And the same boss knew me when I had the green mohawk, right? He knew me when I had green hair. And, whatever. I always hit it. He didn't have a problem with it, but he knew who I was. So this guy comes up, faux hawk, piercings in his fucking ears and face and shit. And boss looking at him funny. So he comes up to me and he starts bitching about it. And he says, hey, man, this guy's looking at me like I'm a fucking alien. And I mean, like, this is the way I talk, right? This is the way I talk normally is me, everywhere pretty much. But at work, same thing. And look at this guy and I go, well, what the fuck did you expect? You did that shit for attention. Your little hairdo's for attention. All that shit in your face is for attention. So what the fuck did you expect? Just because it's not the attention you wanted? Well, that's your fucking problem. Cut all that shit out. And then you'd be fine, dude. And no one will treat you different. But you try to look different, people are going to treat you like you're fucking different. You did it to yourself. You played yourself. So, and me being me, I'm like, be a fucking man, shave the size of that fucking head, have a real fucking mohawk, and then we can talk, man. Because I spent, I don't know, it's like 10 years, 12 years with one. And I'm like, yeah, I got no fucking sympathy for you. I don't know what you're looking for here. But that was the case, But, to go through all that and to be strong with that, and to be able to, kind of survive like that, in that weird culture where you're the strange person, you had to be kind of mentally strong, right? You had to just not give a shit. And I never did, and so you don't care about other people's opinions. You don't care what they think about you or anything like that, which, is something that I've always said. The only opinion that matters in life is your own. Nobody else's does, just yours. When it comes to you, what you believe in, what you, do, what you like, all that sort of shit. The only opinion that matters is your own. Now, obviously, there's some socially acceptable things out there, not saying that people should be into some stupid shit, but nevertheless, man, be strong in yourself, because that's where that comes from. And so where I was going with all that is we're seeing in society right now a fucking breakdown. And, to bring it back to center, we're watching everything fucking crack the fuck down. And we're watching all this bullshit about the fucking gay people are pissed off because A, B, and C, the black people are pissed off, Hispanic people are pissed off. Everybody's fucking pissed off at somebody, something. All the white fucking people are trying to go out there and, pretend like they have a fucking reason to be pissed off for somebody else. So, it's getting fucking ridiculous, and thing is, with all of it, nobody cares. Nobody fucking gives a shit. These politicians don't care if you're gay. Well, they do. And the reason they do is because they know that they can get you to vote for them by saying that they support that. Otherwise, they don't give a fuck. They don't fucking care about you. They don't care about anybody. But, we're tearing ourselves apart. This country's tearing itself apart culturally. And that's kind of the issue we're having right now. Now, who's behind it? I don't fucking know, dude. But I don't think that this is natural. I don't think this is fucking normal. It's not a fucking normal society. You look at the little Antifa shitheads, they're a bunch of bandwagon people, and they're basically the Nazis of this day, right? So we had a bunch of those people back in the day when, in the punk rock scene and all that sort of stuff, there was a big upsurgence of the white supremacy fucking movement back when, I can't remember his name, right? Oh God, I can't remember his name, man. They made movies out of that guy or after that guy. And but back when he was trying to pump up the Klan and all that sort of stuff, and the skinheads trying to unite everybody into one big united, I think it was even called the United Front or some bullshit like that. Nationalist Front, right? The Nationalist, I think it was Nationalist Front or some shit. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. He died 2022, I believe. He finally passed away, which it's not a bad thing. I don't think anyone should. I don't agree with anyone dying, especially people that believe in stupid shit. It's your right to believe in stupid shit. It's everybody else's right to go against that in one way or another. But so the whole idea is that somehow we're different. That somehow everybody's fucking different. As our society is breaking down, everybody wants to be fucking different. But at the same time, everybody wants to be accepted. Fuck do you mean you want to be accepted? How does that fucking work? Right? You want to sit here and talk about how fucking weird you are and how different you are and how all this bullshit, but yet at the same time, you want to be accepted into society for being a freak? Because you're trying. I mean, they're pushing the limits. And I'm not talking shit about the transgender shit and all this sort of bullshit. I'm not talking shit about it. But, in the general sense, most of those people that I've met that are into that sort of thing are very low profile. And they're just cool ass fucking people. It's just the way that they want to represent themselves, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that, dude. I had a green fucking mohawk. I was a fucking weirdo. You know, I don't have a fucking issue with that. You know, I don't have an issue with any of it. I don't have an issue with anybody. You know, it's the Martin Luther King speech, which I think that was the most brilliant thing that's ever been said. You know, the content of the character, not the color of your skin. Well, it goes same thing with your sexuality. Content of your character. If you're a shithead, you're a shithead. It doesn't matter what you fucking believe in, what you look like. And there's shitheads in all fucking parts of society. Can't get around that. You can't get away from that. That's just the way it is. You know, there's serial killers in every part of society. But these differences are tearing people apart. And you're not really different. You're not different. You're just like everybody else, man. Everyone bleeds red inside, man. And you don't know what's going on behind the scenes in a lot of people. So, you know, like I said, I walk into a place, I'm wearing clothes off a fucking rack that cost me like $40 for an entire outfit. And, you know, someone looks at me funny and I'm like, well, you know, I'm here to buy, you know, for instance, last thing that I went and picked up was a computer, right? Fucking dropped $2,500, you know, and just grabbed this kid, made his fucking night, right? Because they work off commission at this place. And, you know, made his fucking night. He was excited, man. Even the manager had to come out and thank me for buying a computer that wasn't off Amazon and coming into their store. And I'm like, dude, that's fucking creepy, bro. Just get away from me. All I want is just the computer, dude. Just leave me the fuck alone. And but same thing. Walked up to this nerdy looking kid who really didn't seem to have any interest in me. And I'm like, hey, come here. I'm going to buy this fucking thing. And yeah, made his fucking night. You know, so everybody's going to get judged in one way or another, man. But it's up to you to be headstrong within yourself to, you know, deal with that. But again, nobody cares. Like, nobody cares if you're fucking gay. Nobody cares if you're going to dress like a fucking woman. I mean, there may be some people out there that may be a little freaked out by it. There are people occasionally that, you know, we do still have the insane people out there that have extreme opinions, so forth, so on. I mean, that does happen, you know, but it's a minority. It's an extreme fucking minority. In fact, it's probably more of a minority than the amount of transsexual people that are in our society, because that's an extreme minority. And, you know, the amount of people that are into this, you know, white supremacy bullshit, you know, because that's what everyone always bitches about. Nobody complains about the black supremacy fucking movements, but they blame, you know, they bitch about the white supremacy movements. And, you know, and by well, you shouldn't be happy with either of those, any of that shit. Racism is not a good thing, period. And it never will be. You know, content of the character, not the color of the skin. But, you know, people are putting such an emphasis on this stuff, and it's driving people apart. And in the end, we probably agree with more shit than we disagree with. You know, left and right, man. I'm in the center, right? I'm completely in the fucking center on this shit. And I know, you know, according to, you know, the left-wing fucking whack jobs out there, I'm fucking far right and all this bullshit, because anybody fucking left of Stalin or right of Stalin is fucking far right, you know, in this day and age. But, you know, realistically, yeah, I'm dead center, man. I don't believe any of these people are on your fucking team, man. You know, I don't believe Democrats, Republicans. I think it's all just one big clusterfuck of people that are corrupt. And I don't, you know, as far as like what's going on now, Trump, you know, the only thing that gave me hope on him, to be honest, was that everyone hated him. All these people that we know are corrupt and fucked up hated him. Absolutely fucking hated him. They tried all kinds of dirty shit to get rid of him. And I was like, hey, man, maybe there's something to this guy, but I don't know. And again, I'm not a huge Trump fucking supporter and all that bullshit. But, I think that there's a possibility someday we're going to see a photo of Trump, Biden, Kamala, George Bush, all sitting on a golf course laughing their ass off at how stupid the American public was for falling for this bullshit. I could be wrong. I mean, that may never happen, right? They may actually really legit hate each other. But considering he was friends with Hillary Clinton before he went into office, or before he started running for office, and all of a sudden it turned into a cat fight once that all happened. I don't know, man. I don't know. All these people seem to be friends at one point, and now they all fucking hate each other, which is weird, But it's fucked up because, again, everybody's the same, dude. I think most people believe in the same bullshit. I think most people believe murder is wrong. But unfortunately, when it's, you have a group of people that are so fucked up and lobotomized that they will say that murder's okay in certain circumstances. No, fuck no, it's not. It never is. Murder's bad, dude. Death is bad. It's fucking horrible. People got to deal with that shit. The living that live past that have to deal with that shit. It's horrible. It doesn't matter what the context is. It's horrible. Now you can say like there's people like Charles Manson and stuff like that, weirdos like that. That's like, yeah, nobody's going to fucking miss them. Nobody's going to fucking care. I get that. There is an argument there, but it's a very nuanced argument and it's fucking very 0.00001% of fucking whatever. Don't care. Don't care about that argument. Not even going to fucking, don't give a shit. Hitler, like, would you go back and kill Hitler? Yeah, probably. Yeah, if you had the chance, I think anybody would, at this point. So yeah, you do have that nuanced argument of, randomness, but that's rare. It's fucking rare. And then we watch what happened. Someone tried to assassinate the guy that was running for president. That's fucking insane. It's fucking nuts. I mean, not just by who it was, because fuck all that. Who cares? Trump, Obama, doesn't fucking matter. Somebody tried to assassinate a U.S. president. That is fucking nuts. And that should have been fucking insane. That should have been everywhere. That should have been universally unacceptable. It's Charlie Kirk guy. When he got fucking sad, he was a Christian conservative, right? I don't agree with any of that shit. My political views, man, I believe drugs should be legal. Do whatever the fuck you want, dude. I'm more of a libertarian. Like I said, I'm in the center, right? So yeah, do whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a shit. Right? It doesn't fucking matter to me. Do it in your own house, though, man. Don't do it around me. Don't do it around kids. Don't do all that bullshit. But, do whatever you want. If you want to kill yourself with this shit, be my guest, dude. Just don't break into the neighbor's house to fucking afford it. But if you can afford to be a coke addict, hey, that's on you, man. Whatever, dude. You want to go down that path, that's on you. And it's the same thing with any of this. Yeah, it's the same thing with, the gay stuff. Basically, you do whatever the fuck you want to do. Live your life however the fuck you want to live it. Just don't hurt anybody doing it. Because once you impede on somebody else's rights or their standard of living or whatever it happens to be, well, that's when you're the bad guy. That's when you're the shithead. And as long as you don't do that, I really don't care what you do. The abortion issue, don't care about it. I'm not a woman. I'm never going to have fucking kids. Don't care. Not my fucking issue. Not going to fucking go one way or the other on that. Don't care. I'm going to stay in my lane. Not my issue. And, it's all these stupid issues. They're tearing people the fuck apart. And you think anybody cares about it? Nobody cares. These people in in office, they don't care. They're not on your fucking team. And that's what people have such a hard time figuring out. These people are not on your fucking team, whether you agree with what they're saying or not. I mean, think about it. Democrats had every branch of government, which is not supposed to happen. That's the whole idea behind the checks and balances, is that's not supposed to happen. But they had it. They had it for a couple of years. And what did they do? They bitched about Trump and they blamed the fucking Republicans for everything. But you had all branches of government. You could have done anything you wanted, anything. So all these fucking problems and all this bullshit, I mean, you could have fixed it. You could have fixed the entire country because you had complete control. But you didn't. You absolutely didn't. I always remember, like, and this just pissed me off, when Goya, a company that was feeding the homeless, that was, doing all kinds of, charity work, they're donating all kinds of food to the homeless and stuff like that. They went to Donald Trump, and I believe it had something to do with exactly that. But since they had the temerity to go meet with that guy, they were fucking destroyed by the left, man. The left, the compassionate fucking left-wing fucking people. Now, here's the thing, right? I voted Democrat my whole life, but the Democrat Party walked away from me. I didn't walk away from it. My Democrat Party is not whatever this is nowadays. I don't know what the fuck this is nowadays. To me, communism is fucking stupid. It only works for the people that are in charge. The only people that, work, get benefit out of communism are the people at the top. I mean, why don't you just leave capitalism in them? Because it's the same fucking system, and all the people at the bottom get screwed. Oh yeah, you don't have to work anymore. Fuck yeah, you will. You'll end up in a fucking factory. They will put your ass to work. People worked in Russia under communism. So I don't want to hear this. It's never been tried before. Well, motherfucker, Russia created this shit. What do you mean it hasn't been tried before? And Marx was a piece of shit. So fuck Marx. Even Russia didn't like Marx. And they created the goddamn movement he was trying to, accentuate. But what the fuck, man? Like, what's going on? What's going on with society? What the fuck are we doing here? Because realistically, we're all the same. We're all living in this fucking country. And people are fucking it up. And people are fucking it up by dividing the people of this country. And they're dividing it by stupid fucking things, right? Transgenderism, dude, nobody fucking cares. But you're making it such a fucking issue, and you're making it look like everybody fucking cares. And you're making people fucking care because you're forcing people to accept something that they see as deviant. But, the whole idea is, no, you don't have to be accepted. Fuck that. Who cares what other people think? There's no reason to be accepted, dude. You accept yourself. If you accept yourself, you're fine. Everything's fucking good. It just don't make no sense. It makes zero fucking sense. But, they use stupid shit like that to divide the population, right? So, Black Lives Matter, I think, was like one of the best examples of this, in my opinion, where they started out. You saw the video. Holy shit, that was horrifying. The cop on top of George Floyd dying underneath his knee. Dude, death is fucking horrible in all circumstances. And so you saw that, man, that was horrible. That was terrible. I mean, everybody's on board. Oh, shit, we need police reform. We need to do something about the cops. And I agree with that, dude, because our system sucks. Our system in America is fucking bullshit. From the police all the way up to the prison system, to the judges, everything. It's all fucked up. When you got to pay for a fucking lawyer, and how much you can pay a lawyer determines whether you're probably going to get a better outcome or not. That's fucked up. That's a bullshit system. That system's fucking broken. Get into prison, all of a sudden now you get out, you can't get a fucking job because you got to put yourself down as a fucking as a convict, as an ex-convict. So now you have a problem integrating back into society. They handicap the shit out of you for that. There's no prison should always be about reform, not retribution, right? It should be reform, not retribution, right? Reform these people, put them back into society. If they can't make it in society, okay, you put them back in, try again, and it keeps happening. That's how the cycle should work. But as we watched the George Floyd shit unfold, again, I don't think you can do anything but be horrified by watching that. Same thing with the Charlie Kirk shit, except that's where we have a breakdown. And that's where we have a fucking problem. And that's where you start to see how fucked up things really are right now. The George Floyd thing, everybody was on the same page, man. I'm sure there were some people out there being assholes about it, but for the most part, everybody's on the same fucking page in the beginning. And the police reform thing was great. That was a good idea. I agreed with it. I thought that was awesome. This is their chance. This is the chance for everybody, to figure out the problems with policing and get things done. And that whole, fix the system. But it went from reforming the police to defunding the police. And you lost people. You started losing people. You saw their what do you call it? You saw people start to drop out of that frame of thought and just abandon the whole BLM thing. They have charts on this online. I was looking at it one time and it's fucking crazy. And then it went to abolish the police and they lost everybody. They went from having some crazy ass amount of people that were, I forget what it was up in the 80 percentile, high 80 percentile, agreeing with them down to like 13, 12% or something immediately, with that abolish the police thing, because it makes no sense. But who started that? Politicians started that. We start seeing Ilhan Omar and Ocasio-Cortez and stuff talking all this abolish police bullshit, and fanning those flames and dividing that entire. And I think, and honestly, I think Tucker Carlson helped out with that when he went live and said, BLM could trump the Democrat Party, for lack of a better term. If they put up a candidate, they would win automatically over the Democrat Party. And next thing you know, BLM started getting investigated. People start going to prison for embezzling money. A lot of that was kind of the breakdown of that. And I think Tucker Carlson had a lot to do with that because it was pretty immediate after that. But, it seemed like what you had a strong majority of this country that was all of a sudden united and unified under this incident that happened, and it's an incident that probably happens every day, to be honest with you. It's just this one happened to be caught on camera, happened to go viral, and politicians picked it up, news media picked it up, and they just started blasting it everywhere. And so all of a sudden, everybody cared out of the blue. Everybody had something to care about, whatever. But, I thought the reforming thing was a good idea, but like I said, they fucked it up. They fucked that all up. Now you come back to Charlie Kirk, right? And look at the reaction, the difference in reaction to George Floyd, where you had a majority of the country, and they're both, they're not similar because one was a cop, one had the cops involved. And, of course, all the young people and criminals definitely hate cops. But, when you look at when you juxtapose those next to each other and the reaction that happened afterwards, with George Floyd, you had a resounding, reaction to that. There was pretty much everybody was on the same page, right? Until they start breaking that down through various, defunding the police and then, abolishing the police and, all that sort of shit and letting them riot in cities and do all that stupid shit to make all the normal people hate that organization. At least that's my opinion of what happened to them. And plus, that wasn't the real BLM anyway. But that's besides the point. Yeah, the real BLM got kicked out when all that started happening. Ah, shit. Oh man, my gardener just decided to show up right now. But but now you look at Charlie Kirk, man, and you look at this shit, man, and this guy got, he got fucking killed because he's a conservative Christian. That's it. That's all he is. That's all he is. He's just a dude with opinions that goes to school and talks to people and argues and debates with people. He's an expert debate guy. That's what he is. That's his stick. He's doing what Steven Crowder used to do. To me, it was somewhat entertaining, because he would tear people up. And a lot of times he'd have people agreeing with him. We got all this bullshit rhetoric that gets thrown at him, just like it's thrown at Trump, right? And anybody else online that disagrees with somebody on the left-hand side, right? And I mean, let's be honest, man. I've called quite a few people these names also, but generally I call people on the left these names because they like calling everybody else that. So, when people throw this out, I usually throw it back at them. But, when you start calling people Nazi or Hitler or a white supremacist over dumb shit, you're the asshole. Like, you're the asshole, right? I mean, to me, I've always had a personal thing with that because to me, when we fought with the white supremacists, in those, shows and in clubs and all that bullshit, and we had problems with them, and, they were always trying to take over shows, and we were always, having issues with that, and, spent, time at the bottom, at the top of boot parties. I mean, just getting the shit kicked out of you, sometimes kicking the shit out of people. I mean, it went back and forth, and you dealt with all that in real time. And all of a sudden, some asshole is calling somebody a white supremacist because they disagree with fucking COVID mandates. Hey, Diane. I'm just ranting. I'm completely just going off right now. I'm just ranting because I need to rant. But yeah, so and so for personally to me, it's like you just like totally degraded the ugliness of everything as far as calling people white supremacists, calling people Nazis, calling people all this shit. When you start saying it out of context, when it doesn't belong, and I've heard it with Trump. I heard it with this Charlie Kirk guy. I mean, if you could prove it, or shut the fuck up, because you're the problem. Then you are the one who's the divisive one in society. You're the one causing the problems. You're the one with the bad rhetoric. You're the one with the bad opinions. Everyone wants to say I'm on the right side of history. No, you're on the fucking left side of history. And you're fucked because you don't use wording like that. You just don't do it. Unless it's serious, and it should be serious. I mean, our fucking founding father, our grandfathers and great grandfathers fought against real Nazis. They fought against, and now you're calling fucking some dipshit on the street a fucking Nazi because they decided to fucking disagree with you on fucking women's rights or some bullshit like that, or COVID vaccines. I mean, come on. Fucking stupid. And that kind of shit pisses me off. It just doesn't make any sense, right? But you do this. You call people and you denigrate people and you call them these names and you call them Nazis, white supremacists, all this evil shit because it's the most evil thing you can come up with, right? There is nothing more evil in this world than Hitler and Nazis. And the thing with all the white supremacy, man, I mean, it's a very, very, like I said, it's a very low percentage of people who actually are. It's a very extremely low percentage. And the thing with that is anybody who is not, which is a very, very high percentage, hate them. absolutely hate that shit. So you're in the majority. When you say, I don't like white supremacy, yeah, you're in the fucking majority. You're not standing out in a crowd. You're absolutely fucking not. So you sit here, and if you're looking at like Republicans versus Democrats, dude, everybody's against that shit. Everybody. David Duke is not running for fucking office anymore. He's not in office anymore. Neither's John Byrd, who was fucking, what's his name? Biden's buddy. They're not in office anymore. These people aren't there anymore. They're gone. We got rid of a lot of that shit. You know, but when you stand in a crowd and you start saying, we're against white supremacy, yeah, well, welcome to the fucking America. Christ, nobody's for that shit anymore. You know, most of those fucking people are gone. They're in prison and shit. You know, I mean, yeah, you go to prison, you're going to see a lot of them. But other than that, nah, dude, you're probably never going to see a fucking real racist person in your life. Well, you're going to see racism because I think there's a lot of that out there. I just don't think, as far as the extreme white supremacists, like, you know, running out doing the goose step and bullshit. Now you ain't gonna see that. You're not gonna see that. That's, you know, that shit's been done. It's been done for a while. The you know, and Hitler. Oh, he's just like Hitler. Oh, you're just like Hitler. Fuck, nobody's fucking like Hitler. Hitler is the only person who is like Hitler. Nobody is like Hitler. You know, and then the, you know, what's the other one? Oh, Nazi. Dude, there hasn't been a Nazi since fucking 1945. It's funny because I used to always say, I got teeth marks in my boots. And I've said this before. I got teeth marks in my boots from a real life Nazi, right? And I don't know if they're actually teeth marks, man. But, you know, after a particular bad, you know, night of beating up some of these people, I noticed there were some marks in my boots, right? I don't think they're from teeth, dude, to be honest with you. I don't think so at all. But it's always kind of a joke that I've had. And the thing is, it's not a Nazi, dude. That's some fucking kid who, you know, bought into some lame fucking rhetoric bullshit, you know, just like all the kids are these days with all this woke shit and stuff like that. Somebody bought into rhetoric. It's a bandwagon. That's what all the woke stuff is. It's just a fucking bandwagon. It's a bandwagon of bullshit. People need to stop with all the rhetoric, man. They need to stop with all the Nazi, Hitler, white supremacists, racism, all this bullshit. Because, man, in the end, dude, the majority of the people out there don't give a fuck. They don't care about what you want to look like out in public. I mean, yeah, maybe some people kind of just, are a little weird about it. I mean, you know, you're walking around with no shirt on, you're a female. Yeah, I mean, you're going to worry about your kids seeing shit like that. But, you know, obviously there's exceptions. There's always going to be. But in the end, nobody cares. It doesn't fucking matter. We're all the fucking same. We're all the fucking same. And we're allowing for this weird division based around a dude who ran a TV show, who was just a TV guy. He's a rich billionaire. Who cares? Yeah, you're right. People don't want things forced on themselves, not just their kids. You know, and I think that's a big issue, that you're throwing something in somebody's face. Like, you know, I'll always go back to me in my youth, right? You know, when I had this fucking weird hair and dressed fucked up and was running around, dude, I did it for me. I didn't do it for you. But, you know, I didn't walk down the street saying, you have to accept me. You have to accept me. You have to accept me. Fuck no. I didn't care. I really didn't give a shit. You know, and if I walked in to buy something, still to this day, man, I walk in to buy something and you walk away from me, fuck you, I'm walking out of that place. And maybe you'll get a Yelp review if I'm really pissed off that night. But it just is what it is. I'm going to go home and I'm going to accept it. Hey, man, you know, I look like a fucking hoodlum, and that's fine. You know. I mean, the fuck are we doing? Fuck is wrong with people? When people, got to a point where they could say it was okay for this guy to be killed because he had a different opinion than you. I mean, what the fuck are we doing? I mean, even if you disagree, I disagreed with a lot of what the guy said, man. Hey, like I said, abortion, don't give a fuck, dude. It's not my fucking lane, don't care. But, and I believe drugs should be fucking legal for the most part. I don't give a shit. Hell, I think prostitution should be legal, to be honest with you. I think we could probably knock down the amount of rapes that happen if we just legalize prostitution. You can, government can tax it. They can organize it. You can do whatever the fuck they want to do. They can put districts out there for it so the kids aren't walking through it, and you could have red light districts, all that sort of shit, man. And you make some money, you make it safer, and, hopefully the amount of sexual assaults goes down. That's just me, I'm extremely fucking liberal, but according to everybody, I'd be a, right wing, at this point, because again, anybody right of Stalin is a right wing fucking person in this day and age. But it makes me wonder, like, who's doing this? Like, what are we doing? What's going on here, man? Who's breaking down our society like this? Who's causing this insane division? Yeah, you're right. I'm not a liberal anymore. Not according to anybody on the left, man. Now I'm a fucking right-wing fucking whatever. But nah, dude, I don't have conservative values. I don't have any of that shit. I'm not a Christian. I'm not, into any of that stuff. But like I said, when you're juxtaposing the two sides next to each other that are in our society right now, one side is extremely divisive. And it's obvious when somebody dies and you say, oh, good, he was a fucking Nazi. That when half of fucking, this one team is saying that and they're cheering on the death of somebody just because a person had an opinion. And it's not even like it's not a fucking crazy ass opinion. Like, let's be honest here, man. He was a conservative. He had a conservative opinion that has run this country for a very fucking long time. And, and it's been a prevalent opinion within this country for a very long time. In fact, half of the country agrees with that opinion. But you fucking murk the guy for that, and then you cheer that on. I mean, at the very least, man, people should have enough decency to say, dude, that was fucked up. That was too far. That was wrong. Like, that was extremely wrong. But I don't fucking get it. I don't get it. I don't get how people got lobotomized to that point where they can cheer on fucking murder over an opinion, over your Christian values and your conservative values. Like, who gives a fuck? The fuck cares what this guy thinks? If you don't like it, why would you care enough to do something stupid like that? Or to be an asshat, go on Twitter and say, oh, it's good that he's dead. He was just like Hitler. He's a Nazi. Dude, you fuck, man. It's fucking stupid. And that's the kind of rhetoric that's separating everybody. That's the kind of rhetoric that's destroying this place. And that's what just fucking kills me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't move to the right. The left moved further to the left. You got a definite point there. And yeah, that's what I've been saying. But what are we doing? Again, nobody cares. Like, in society, you walk down the street, nobody cares if you're fucking gay, bro. Like, nobody gives a shit. Like, nobody even fucking knows. And they don't fucking care. So why are you freaking out about that sort of stuff? You walk down the street as a transgender, whatever, transvestite, whatever we're calling it these days. I mean, people are going to look at you funny because you are definitely in a very small percentile of people doing that. So obviously, yeah, people are gonna look at you strange, dude. But coming from someone who has been looked at strange for a very long time, for most of their life, that's just the territory, man. And you got to get used to that. And you got to not care about that. And it doesn't fucking matter. But I'm just talking about society, right? I'm not talking about like politics and shit like that. I'm just talking about society in general. Society in general don't give a fuck, don't care. You know, so all these big issues that people are bringing up, like, oh my God, I got to fight for this or I got to fight for that. Dude, most people don't give a fuck about those. Most people would agree with you and say, yeah, who cares? Yeah, it's a bandwagon. I agree with you, Angela. It's a bandwagon, right? It's a fucking bandwagon mentality, you know? And I think they were talking about some study. I don't remember where I heard this, but they're talking about some study, and I forget what the experiment's called, right? Where somebody goes into an elevator, and instead of facing the doors, they face the back of the elevator. And then other people start crowding into the elevator. Next thing you know, everybody's facing those back doors. Or not the back doors, but the back of the elevator instead of facing the doors. And there's no rationale or reason behind why they did that. They just were following the one person. It's kind of like when you look up in the, I think it was in Pirates of the Caribbean, right? They had a perfect example of this where, and I think it was on purpose, but, you look up into the sky and the guy next to you looks up in the sky. And before you know it, everybody's looking up there trying to figure out what you're looking at. And you're looking at nothing. You're just doing it to fuck with people. It's a bandwagon. Everyone just follows suit. Just blindly following people off the cliff like fucking lemmings. And that's crazy. That's crazy and it's fucking stupid. And everybody likes to call themselves or think of themselves a critical thinker, right? Oh my God, you're a critical fucking thinker, dude. If you're falling into dumb shit like that and you're just following someone else's lead, if you're getting your news off of fucking social media, TikTok, Twitter, shit like that, and you're not using any kind of due diligence to figure out whether it's true or not, you're just falling on a fucking bandwagon at that point. You're sitting in an echo chamber and just agreeing with everything everybody says. Because, on that side of things, and this is what pissed me off about the current left-hand side of things, it's dogmatic. J.K. Rowling is about as left as you're going to get, right? She's left hand, man, left wing. And they attacked her, man. It's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, you guys aren't, to your common leftists at this point, you're not allowed to have a separate opinion. You're not allowed to have an opinion at all. Your opinion is what you read on Twitter that day. Your opinion is handed to you. Who's handing you these opinions, though? Has anyone thought about that? And that's where I started this whole tirade of what I'm talking about. Where is this coming from? Who's giving you your opinions and your marching orders? Who's the one sitting here saying, going from defunding police reform to defunding the police to abolishing the police? Who is giving you this rhetoric? It's crazy. It's crazy. We don't have any holidays either for being heterosexual. Yeah, we don't have anything for the normalcy is not celebrated. Normalcy is not celebrated. Unless you're talking about some of the holidays for the nation, national holidays for veterans, stuff like that. But yeah, normalcy is not celebrated, which is fine. I don't care. I've never been the normal kind of guy anyway. Doesn't matter to me. We don't have fucking Mohawk fucking day, green hair fucking day. We don't have punk rock fucking appreciation month. We don't have any of that shit, but I don't care. I don't give a shit. None of that means anything to me. Like, even holidays don't really mean much to me, to be honest with you. Most holidays mean absolutely nothing to me. It's just a day I can't work. So I don't care. But it's crazy, man. Like, when you're looking at guys like Charlie Kirk or something like that, he would get people to eventually agree with it. A lot of people agreed with him. They'd argue with him. They go up there, I'm going to own this chud, whatever weird logic they have. And, by the end, he'd have them agreeing with him because he was a very good debater. That was his thing. And, he was extremely good at that. And people were, his logic was not all that bad. Even though, like I said, I didn't necessarily agree with them because I'm not even on that side of the spectrum. But, his logic's just his logic, man. He was, the difference between him and Floyd was he was killed for his beliefs, and for speaking out on what his beliefs were, for being vocal on that. And I don't think that should be a crime. Fuck, man. Some of the twisted shit I've said in my life, man, fuck, I've pissed a lot of people off. But I don't think anyone should be murdered for just saying what they believe. And that's what's crazy, man, is that in society, you have half of the people saying this guy deserved it for some reason. People calling him names, doing all that sort of stuff. I mean, it's like, I don't get it. Those are two very influential events. And honestly, the Trump, the guy tried to assassinate Trump was another one. But, that guy glazed over really fast and everyone tried to say it was a hoax and all kinds of bullshit. All the left became instant conspiracy theorists as soon as that shit happened. But, when it came to like George Floyd, right? That was a huge event. That was a massive event. You cannot deny that event had a serious impact on society. It had a massive impact on society. This Charlie Kirk thing, time is going to tell on that. But as of right now, it's having a massive impact on society. It's having an insane impact on society. The Trump assassination should have had a massive impact on society because, I mean, it's one thing for, them to catch some guy with a gun in a fence, on his golf course and all that sort of stuff. It's completely different when someone actually hits him with a bullet. That's insane. That is a huge event, and shit like that shouldn't be happening. And I mean, that should be a big story. That should be a huge story. Whether you like the guy or not, man. I mean, yeah, you don't come and assassinate American presidents. You don't do that. I mean, Kennedy, but still, it's a huge fucking deal. But I don't know what the fuck we're doing. I don't know what we're doing. I mean, most of us in society are going to agree on things, right? It's wrong to kill people. Yeah, it's a bad fucking thing. Even though, half these fucking retards are now saying that it's okay to kill people if it's the right fucking people. And all right, well, you want to talk about fascism? Yeah, you're going there. You want to talk about being a dictator? Holy shit, we were locked down for 2 fucking years. Talk about dictator. Fuck me. I still want my fucking reparations from being locked down for 2 fucking years. That's bullshit. So yeah, you want to talk about being dictatorial? Holy shit. We had 2 years of that bullshit. And yeah, I'm not happy about that, obviously. Even though I was able to work, my life did not change, man. My life didn't change much at all, to be honest with you. Through all that COVID shit, it's easy for me to say, yeah, I breezed through it, man. Because I mean, I'm kind of a hermit anyway. I still had to work. I'm essential. I'm an essential person for once in my life. I had to work through it. I went to the same gas station. It was open. Went to the same liquor store to buy cigarettes. It was open. Nothing really changed. I went to Costco, which I go to all the time. Went to the same grocery store I go to all the time. The only thing that closed for me was a restaurant that I used to go with my parents to every weekend. That changed. Other than that, life didn't change much for me. And actually, it changed for the better as far as the workplace goes. But still, when you're being told like you can't do something, you're like, screw you. Like, we live in America. And that's the thing, right? That's what's crazy about this whole thing. We live in America. You know, this isn't fucking Afghanistan, you know, where we assassinate political rivals. Yeah. That was the other thing, right? The vax, right? Trying to force that vaccine down your throat. I mean, we lived under a dictatorship for a couple of years there, you know, depending on where you are within the country, you know. California for sure, you know, which is obviously where I'm at. I mean, total dictatorship, you know, under Gavin Newsom. Total fuck dictatorship. And people voted for him to stay in office, which is crazy to me. It's fucking insane. But yeah, we lived under dictatorship. And then talk about fascism, right? This fucking bullshit term that just suddenly just re-popped its head up. Fascism. The fuck is fascism? It's such a stupid fucking term. It doesn't really mean anything. I mean, the fuck is fascism? Is fascism is fascism throwing fireworks at a little girl who wants to go to church and is protesting the COVID lockdowns because she wants to go to church? A little 4-year-old girl throwing fireworks at her because fuck her, because she doesn't have a right to protest that? In your eyes, is that fascism? Because that wasn't some right-wing fucking person that threw that firework. Is it fascism when you march on the Capitol and burn down the church across the street and try to get into the White House? Forcing the president into a bunker? Is that fascism? Is it fascism when you go to a judge's house, a Supreme Court judge's house, and threaten him? Is that fascism? Because none of that happened on the right. Like that would, I mean, at least those instances I'm talking about, those weren't right-wing people doing that. You know, what is fascism? I don't really understand where they're coming at with stuff like that. It doesn't make a lot of sense. The Nazi Party. The Nazi Party was, and I know the Anti-Fascist Party was created from Hitler's time, and yeah, whatever. But the Nazi Party was the National Socialist Party. They were socialists. Right-wingers are not socialists. So when they say, oh, you're just like a Nazi, yeah, actually you are. That's reflecting. That's complete reflecting. National Socialist. Who's the closest thing to a National Socialist as far as the exact terminology of that we have in this country? It's definitely not right-wingers. There's a couple people in Congress that speak the loudest that, fit that bill more than anybody. Trump's not a Nazi. That's ridiculous. That's stupid. Even Kanye West, who talks all this shocking shit, is not a fucking Nazi. I had some dumb fucking friend of mine. And if you're listening to this, look, this was really fucking stupid that you said this, and you're going to hate me for it. You're probably never going to talk to me again, but it's fine. Whatever. But I had a dumb fucking friend of mine who came up to me one day and said, Netanyahu's just like Hitler. The fuck? Are you on fucking crack? Like, you could say a lot of bad things about this guy, but like Hitler? No, just because you're fucking all, pro fucking weird Palestinian shit, and I'm fine with that. Just like Hitler? Fucking the leader of the Israel is like Hitler. You're fucking on crack at that point. And yeah, that's one of the dumbest fucking things I've heard. And it's fucking ridiculous. It's absolutely fucking asinine ridiculous. It's people don't know what the fuck they're doing. And I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know who's leading this whole rebellious movement in America that is just really has no upside. It's just tearing down American culture. For what? For what reason? Why are we doing this? What are we doing? And who's doing it? Because I don't think that a bunch of people, that in the early days of this, showed up in Portland. I don't think it's just a grassroots thing of a bunch of people just decide to show up on some street corner and start protesting. I don't think that people are creating these signs on a moment's fucking notice and showing up down there to these protests and stuff like that. I don't think that's a grassroots campaign. Something's going on behind the scenes. And if we're able, like a story I shared in the beginning, if we have a government that is willing to, not a government necessarily, but an entity of the government that is willing to go and turn a blind eye to destroying the culture of other governments around the nation, around the world, then you think they wouldn't do that to us? I don't know. I could throw theories out there all day long. I can do all that. But, to me, it's just like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, why you got to throw all your shit in my face? Why you got to throw this gay rights shit in my face? Because, I don't care. I don't care if you're gay. I just don't. It doesn't matter to me. You're a person, right? Just like everybody else. You deserve to be treated just like everybody else. You deserve to be treated as the content of your character dictates. And it's the same thing if you're, a man trying to be a woman trying to be a man, whatever it happens to be. You deserve to be treated as the content of your character, not whatever I see with my eyes. That's the way I've always felt, man. That's the way I've always felt. And maybe it's just me because of the background I have of, being that weird dude, with the green fucking hair and shit. Maybe that's what brought me into that train of thought. And maybe it is just me. Maybe I am the fucking weirdo that thinks differently. But what I see right now, it's just nothing's good. Nothing good is coming of this. Nothing good comes from calling somebody a Nazi, calling somebody a white supremacist, calling someone Hitler. Nothing good comes from that. It's just divisive shit. And we don't need to be divisive, because if the people in this country would come together, they could actually get something done. But, when you allow stupid shit like this to take over your fucking life, take over your brainwaves and control you, then nothing gets done. And I think the powers that be want that. And I think I've ranted long enough. I'm out of here. Everyone stay safe. Have a good day. What's left of it.
Dude, pointed stick.
Pointed stick. Pointed stick.
Pointed stick.
Pointed stick.
Pointed stick?
Pointed stick.
Whoa, pointed stick.
That pointed stick.
Pointed stick.
Stick. We don't have any time for your trolling behavior on this channel. It just isn't welcome here. And so, good riddance to you.